Hello and welcome to AirgunWeb.com, your home for honest, real-world airgun reviews where we bring you the facts and not fluff. My name is Rick Utzler and I want to thank you for joining us today. So, you want to do some shooting on a budget. You want decent accuracy, ease of shooting, and maybe just enough power for those pesky squirrels that keep getting into your bird feeder. Now, you want to do all this for less than $90. Well, I have just the ticket for you today as we take a look at the TechForce 97. With open sights at 10 yards, I can hit a dime 10 out of 10 times. When you add a simple scope, accuracy gets even better. Let's go ahead and take a good close-up look at this rifle. The TechForce 97 is one of my guilty pleasures. I feel like I have to justify myself for admitting that I like this gun so much. It's mostly all wood and steel with minimal use of plastic. The stock has some checkering on the forearm and the grip, and it also has a raised cheek piece set up for right-handed shooters. The newer version of the 97 has fiber optic sights, which are a nice improvement over the previous versions. The rear sight is fully adjustable. The rifle is very capable with open sights, and I was able to shoot sub-dime-sized groups at 10 yards just about every time. For this review, however, I asked Leapers for their 4x32 AO scope. It now comes with Weaver mounts, so I asked them for an 11mm to Weaver adapter. This really works well on this rifle. It adds about $50 to the $90 price tag, however. The TechForce 97 is an underlever rifle, which is unique in a gun in this price range. It's a little rough at first, but with time, all that gets better. Cocking is very easy, under 20 pounds. With the breech open, you simply install the pellet, close the lever using the rear, quote, trigger in the trigger guard, set the automatic safety, which is the front trigger in the trigger guard. You set that to fire and you're ready to go. The trigger on the 97 is the one downside to this gun. It's very, very stiff. If TechForce could get the trigger pack from the Contender 87 into this gun, that would be really awesome. But for now, you have to put up with a non-adjustable and uncomfortable stiff trigger. Let's take a look at cocking, loading, and shooting the TechForce 97. So, I gotta be honest, the TechForce 97 is an absolute favorite of mine. I know it's rough around the edges and it's certainly not some of the more expensive guns I'm used to shooting, but I just like it. It's compact, easy to cock, easy to shoot, and actually hits its intended target. The fixed barrel design is unique in a gun this inexpensive. Now let's go ahead and look at how you work this little gun. The TechForce 97 has an automatic safety and a good anti-bear trap mechanism, but you never want to take things for granted. You always want to make sure that the safety is engaged and that you keep your hands and fingers out of areas that could get pinched if any of these safeties were to fail. Any airgun can bite you if you don't take it seriously. Now, to work the TechForce 97, you're going to need to understand the 3 triggers and the trigger guard. The first trigger is the safety. Forward is on, rearward is off. The center is the actual trigger. And this last little one is the release for the cocking arm. To load and fire the gun, looks like this. First, I'm going to cock the gun. This puts the safety automatically on. Now, you're going to have to put your fingers in this breech. God forbid the bear trap fail. So we're going to grab the cocking arm with the offhand. Go ahead and load the breech. There you go. Now we're going to pull this furthermost trigger right here at the bottom, this little lever, and that will release this arm, allow us to close it. Now everything's basically ready to fire. The safety's still on. So go ahead and aim down range, pull the safety towards you, and now the gun's ready to fire. That's it. Everything up until that very last point of pulling the trigger should be pretty effortless. But when you pull that trigger for the first time, you're going to really experience one of the only drawbacks of this little gun. The cocking and shooting cycle is very easy and smooth, but the trigger is very, very stiff. And it does get a little bit better with time. Now, the one way to get the most out of any spring gun is to learn how to tune it and lube it yourself or find someone that offers the service. Eventually, almost all spring guns smooth out, but a good tune and lube will give you immediate results. The Tech Force 97 is one of the trickier guns to work on, so seriously, don't try this at home. You need special tools and equipment to safely work on these guns. Now, we'll be getting into that part of air gunning later on in our Take Aim series. So how does our little rifle perform? Let's take a look. Now let's talk about performance. I tested many different pellets, with the best coming out to be the JSB Diablo Exacts. Other honorable mentions were the H&N Field Target Trophy, RWS Superdome, and the Crosman Field Hunting Pointed Pellets. The Tech Force 97 talks about a max velocity of 900 feet per second in 177 and 700 feet per second in 22. Let's see how our rifle performed, and we'll start with the RWS Hobby Pellets, which are 7 grain. We had a high of 800 feet per second, a low of 790 feet per second, an average of 796 feet per second. The extreme spread was only 10 feet per second, and the standard deviation was only 3 feet per second. The RWS Superdomes came in a very close second place to the JSBs. They're an 8.3 grain pellet and gave us the following results. We had a high of 725 feet per second, a low of 701 feet per second, an average of 717 feet per second, with an extreme spread of 24 feet per second and a standard deviation of 8 feet per second. Our most accurate pellet was definitely the JSB Diablo Exact pellets. They're an 8.4 grain pellet and produced the following results. We had a high of 694 feet per second, a low of 681 feet per second, an average of 688 feet per second, with the extreme spread of 13 feet per second and a standard deviation of only 4 feet per second. In our tests, we really came about 100 feet per second short of that maximum velocity with the RWS Hobby Pellets. But as far as accuracy goes, out of the box, the rifle shot pretty well. One of my first groups was with open sights at 10 yards, which could easily be covered by a dime. I believe I posted the photos on my website, www.airgunweb.com. To get the most out of our little gun, I mounted the Leaper's 4x32 AO scope, and the frustrations began pretty much immediately. I know this gun can produce pretty decent groups, but with the trigger being so stiff, I was always pulling at least one shot off target. Eventually, I did get the hang of things and got some decent groups. So I'm posting several, as many different pellets did pretty darn well in this gun. Let's take a look. So here's my scorecard for the Tech Force 97. Here are the cons. It's extremely rough around the edges and needs to be rebuilt, cleaned, and tuned from day one. It takes forever for the gun to finally settle down and start shooting well. The trigger is really impossible for bench shooting. Here are the pros. The price point is very, very attractive. It has great potential once it wears in and smooths out. With just over 9 foot-pounds of energy on average, it has some use as a small game gun, but only at about 10 yards or so. Let's go ahead and pull all this together with our final summary. For some that want to try a spring gun, the Tech Force 97 is a pretty decent option. It's easy to cock, easy to load, and easy to shoot as long as you can learn to deal with the trigger. It has a nice look to it as long as you don't look too closely. For basic shooting and plinking in the backyard, it really is a great option. If you're on a tight budget and want something a little bit different from the $80 Walmart specials, then take a look at the Tech Force 97. Add an inexpensive leaper scope, and you've got a really fun all-day shooter. Again, I actually really like this little gun. I guess I'm just crazy that way. I've got my R9 and my TX200, but when I just want to plink and really I'm not trying to be so serious about things, the 97 is just a lot of fun. I'd like to take a moment and thank the folks at Leapers for sending us this scope and this mount, and also Pyramid Air for sending us this rifle and, of course, for sponsoring this review. Their continued support allows me to work full-time to bring you these reviews and the new Take Aim series. So when you're looking for your next air rifle or your next batch of supplies, be sure to visit www.pyramidair.com or give them a call at 1-888-262-4867. Please be sure to let them know that you heard about them here on Airgun Web. When you order your next rifle, be sure to get the 10 for 10 service. The gun techs at Pyramid Air will unpack and test your airgun before it leaves the warehouse. This ensures you get a good working product every time. Remember, when you're looking for honest, real-world reviews, think Airgun Web, where we tell you the facts, not fluff. I'm Rick Utzler with AirgunWeb.com. Thanks again for watching.